Okay, so I feel like every time I make a new video, I always start it by saying that it's been a long time. But it has been, and I've been really busy because I have been dual majoring in environmental science and political science, and I've been minoring in GIS, which is just a fancy way to say mapping. And I've also been super active in clubs and stuff, so it's led me to not have time to do anything. But now that it's the break, I can do stuff. So I want to just go ahead and share some of my November favorites, but I'm also kind of putting some things in that just happened that I just got. So let's get started. So, this semester, kind of the theme of what you're gonna see is just kind of me not only just getting more in touch with my hobbies this semester because, I guess not having time for anything makes you realize how much you want to do things. Like, say, a semester ago, when I wasn't doing anything and I wasn't active in clubs and stuff, and I had all this free time, I felt like I didn't because I was always on my phone. And don't get me wrong, I still have a really big issue with screen time, and that's something that I'm trying to fix. And I'm trying to fix it so much so that I don't know, I feel like we're swinging in the opposite direction again, and it's still bad. But I did delete TikTok, and I think that's probably one of the most helpful things that I could have done. But now I'm just on Instagram Reels, so I don't know if it's actually that much better. Yeah, I don't know. Living in Florida, just the weather recently, and the fall atmosphere, and just being around cooler weather is just so nice. I love being able to wear like a jacket. Even just if it's a jacket and a t-shirt, even if it doesn't really get colder than that, just being able to do that is so much better because I get really sweaty. I am a really sweaty person, and it's just so much more comfortable for me, especially because clothes can be a really big issue for me. But during the winter time, I feel way more comfortable dressing up because I'm less likely to get these hot flashes while I'm in whatever I'm wearing. And I don't know, that's a small tangent that's honestly unrelated to what I was talking about. But, anyways, I this semester have been getting really into nature, in tune with nature, and just wanting to be around nature more. Which is so funny that it's a want, a new want, especially being an environmental science major, because that's what I was doing first before political science was added. I think I've discussed it before on the channel, but just it was a very strong gravitation. It was I knew I wanted to do that, but I just never let myself say that. But I switched my freshman year, and I added poli sci over the summer, but my main passion with environmental science has been environmental justice initiatives, and it still is that. But this semester, more specifically, I've become way more passionate about wildlife conservation, which I feel just kind of happens, I guess it just comes with the field. But that in turn has led me to want to be in nature a lot more. And that specifically has gotten me way more interested in birding. My old roommate is an expert at birds. It's amazing. I just don't know how she does it. She can see something flying a million feet up in the air and then know what it is just by how it's flying in the air. And I guess for some birds, you can probably assume if something's a vulture, but no, even with small things, she'll see it and she'll be like, that's that. That's amazing to me. I don't know. That's so cool. I maybe that's the 50-year-old in me, but that is so cool to be able to just do that. Anybody that can just point out something really fast, especially plants too. If you can just walk into a forest and you can point out everything in there, people that can recognize trees scare me because I can't do it. I have put so much time. I took a wetlands course this semester. I put so much time into trying to memorize trees, and I'm so bad at it. I don't get it. I am so bad at trees. So plant recognition, tree recognition, I literally bow down to you. You're so cool. But anyways, because of me sharing my birding, my new birding passion with my grandparents and stuff, both of what I'm about to show you is from my grandparents. My grandfather gave me a huge pair of binoculars. I'm not gonna go get them, But I also have a smaller pair of binoculars that I do use that has a string. Low-key though, I hate wearing binoculars because they hurt. Like that string, it's too heavy to just have on a string like that. You need like a strap so it doesn't like, whatever. He also was like, oh, I think I have some books that I can give you. Because my grandfather's always been like pretty passionate about birding. And then we went to a park one day and he gave me these two books. And this first one is called Birds of Florida. This one I really like, obviously being in Florida. But what I really like about this book is in a lot of the pages, it'll show like the male, the female. Some of the pages also show like the juvenile because a lot of birds look way different when they're juveniles. And then it'll also look like it'll show you a picture of them soaring or doing what they usually do if they're not a flying bird, that you can easily identify them because like and when they are in the air, the easiest way you can identify them is how their wings look. And then some of them will also, like, if they have different looks throughout the seasons, it'll show you that. And it's just overall really, really cool. It'll tell you a bunch of information that you would expect to see in a field guide, like size, characteristics based on gender, things like that. But this is the 3rd edition. The next book is the National Audubon Society Field Guide to North American Birds. Eastern region. That's a handful. But this looks like what I imagine. Like, this is like fun and it's got a cute picture on the front, but this is what I typically imagine a field guide looks more so like. I do like this one, but obviously it's way more extensive to a ton of birds that I'm not going to see in Florida, so it is kind of a lot harder to be able to flip through it and know what I'm trying to find, because obviously like exposure therapy is the best way to learn your birds. I identified an American kestrel by sound the other day, and that was really, really cool. This one has a separate section for pictures and explanations. So this like darker part is where the pictures are going to be, and this lighter part is going to be where the explanations are. The explanations sometimes have scattered pictures throughout, mainly of like habitat, but it can also have like a little illustration of the bird. I think a few of them might also have like tracks. I think maybe I'm getting better at like identification and like knowing where to look for things, but it just takes a lot of practice. But yeah, birding has been a new hobby of mine. And then I will say, like, when it comes to also wanting to be in nature more, I definitely have a big like passion for bone collecting and like foraging for bones or like cool things. Granted, you have to always do that like with respect to nature, with respect to the area, because I generally like go about my way of life and thinking of like I usually don't want to take anything from where I'm from because it is part of the natural landscape. It's kind of the same idea of going off trails when you are like in a park, but it definitely is kind of a moral battle doing what I like to do, because like as long as you're ethical with what you're doing and you're not disrupting the natural ecosystems, it's fine. But that being said, with what I'm going to talk about, like, definitely do your research and know what you can and can't take from different areas. It's like you can tell if somebody's not respecting, the art of what they're doing. Because at the end of the day, I am so passionate about like bones and skeletons and collecting those things, but I do it more so with a respect to knowing like, wow, this is so cool. This was once a living creature and like that was alive at one time, and I have no idea what its life was like. And something about that, like, it's so interesting what it could have seen. There's so many things it could have seen in life. But yeah, anyways, that's my little rant. If you're trying to find bones through a convention because you don't want to mess with them yourself, do your research on the vendors or just talk to them. A lot of them, if they do source ethically, they're very like open to talking. And if you go and you try and forage your own bones or your own little trinkets and treasures, just make sure you're not disrupting natural ecosystems, because that is a very big problem with people that are purposely going out there to try and find things, not so much for themselves, but specifically for the purpose of reselling. That's a big issue, and like secondhand websites can't always get to all of those people, so some of the things go under the radar. I went to a really, really cool oddities convention with my friends during November. I think it was around the 20th or so, and I went with a budget of 100, and I got 2 things for a total of $60, so $40 under budget. I am a very big millipede fan, so my goals when I went were to find something millipede related and something coyote related, like a coyote skull, specifically a coyote skull. I knew I wanted one of those. This is the coyote skull, and it's absolutely stunning. It is so pretty, so cool. Funny story though, my friend actually found this first. His name's Caleb. And I was so jealous because it was a better price than what we had seen elsewhere with other vendors. And it also is just, it was so intact and it's so pristine. And on top of that, we were looking, but that black dot is actually a flesh-eating beetle. And that's really cool because it was a mistake, but they were preserved with the skull. So there's a bunch of beetles in here as well as the skull. I searched this entire convention up and down. No millipedes. The closest thing to a millipede I was able to find is the centipede, and it's kind of hard to show on camera. That's its little antenna. He is super adorable. Obviously not a millipede, but now, one of the biggest differences, you can always tell if something is a millipede over a centipede because centipedes only have 1 leg per segment and millipedes have 2 per segment. So, a little fun fact for you guys. The last thing I want to talk about is what I just did over this past weekend. But we're going to pretend it happened in November, so I can talk about it during this video. I have not really had an interest, like my friends are really into Pokemon cards and card collecting, not so much the game. I have personally liked the actual card game, and I used to kind of have an addiction to opening packs and stuff, but I stopped opening them like 2-3 years ago. It's been a long time, and I was hanging out with my boyfriend's friends the other night, and I opened a bunch more packs, had awful luck, but the next day, we went with one of his friends to like a card convention. I don't know if it was really small, but it was like a bunch of vendors, and they were all in there, so I guess it was like sort of a convention. I had a few cards that I wanted to get rid of, and trade them in for more cute cards. I didn't really have any big plans. I didn't plan on spending any money, and I didn't. I made a profit. So I went in, and I was able to sell 2 cards that I didn't really want, $85. And then I traded in like probably 6 of my cards that were pretty low value to get this Evolution blind box figure. I ended up pulling Espeon. This figure is so pretty. Like, I am normally, like, not a huge Espeon fan. I also have this little Funko Pop. I think Espeon's cute. I don't have anything against Espeon. I was actually saying that I would be happy with anything other than Jolteon. So, my favorites are Leafeon and Eevee, but low-key, theirs were not as exciting as the other ones. But I absolutely adore this figure, and it has, like, little crystals. It's really pretty, and it came with this like shifty card that I still haven't figured out where I'm gonna put, but it is really cute and I need to display it somewhere. But no money spent on that. Retailed for $25. And I looked up the worth of the Espeon afterwards. This Espeon is going for $65 on eBay. So after all of that was finished, I had some other cards that I didn't like, but they were only worth like $2, $4. So then I just went and I found somebody that had a ton of binders, and I just traded them for other cards that I liked. So still no money out of pocket spent. My boyfriend's friend actually had given me this the night before for no cost, but it is a $7 value. It's a little Houndour. You're gonna see a common theme. I love all the dog looking ones, and I love like kind of the horses. I also especially love Toxel and Toxtricity. My favorite is Arcanine. And I'll probably do a video on like my Pokemon card collection, but I have a little like Toxtricity and Toxel figure. But the next I traded for was this Obstagoon with Piers. This is a $2 worth. This Zacian, this $4 Toxtricity, and then I absolutely love this Smeargle, and I low-key actually really love this card for my physical deck. Yes, I know I can't play it because it's an extended card. I think that's dumb, okay? I want to be able to play the yellow borders. I love the yellow borders. So, if I play my deck, it's gonna be with like friends that don't care. The like main ability on this card is to look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and you can attach any number of basic energy cards to one of your Pokemon. And the last card I got, this beautiful Hisuian Growlithe. He's so cute. I love Hisuian Growlithe so much, but after trading in all my high value cards and all the cards I didn't want. So now it's kind of spawned something in me where I feel like I really want to get more cards, like packs to open, which is bad because I haven't done that in so long. But yeah, so Pokemon, birding, and skulls and dead things kind of been my November theme. I am so excited to be able to spend this break and actually like take it as a break and do what I want to do and not have to focus so much on school. I just have more time for me, bruh. So I'm gonna take that, and hopefully you guys will hear from me again more soon. So yeah, anyways, I hope you liked this video. Now I'm gonna do the basic thing and tell you to like and subscribe and comment, please, because I would love to be able to talk to you guys about the stuff you saw in this video. If you want to see more, let me know. And yeah, anyways,